don't have a coach in there that knows how to teach things at like a developmentally appropriate way, you end up with people hurting themselves pretty frequently. Like, oh yeah, physical therapists love CrossFitters. They keep them in business. You know what I mean?
Not just me, like a lot of people
You should try buying Pokemon cards at retail. Jeez.
had huge
What's
problems.
up, y'all? This is Snowflake. I'm just a guy who likes to react to health and fitness stuff. A little bit about me. I have a bachelor's degree in physical education, so I'm trained to be a PE teacher. I had a ACE certification for personal training for about 4 years. Today, I would like to check out Sporty Beth. I loved her video about like mindset throughout the years when she's exercising. I think she's got a lot of good stuff to say, and I want to check out her reasons for why she quit CrossFit. The HYROX drama sounds right up my alley, the health and fitness drama. So without further ado, girl, give me the tea.
I never thought I'd say this, but I finally moved away from full-time CrossFit, and honestly, it's been the best decision ever. Today we're going to talk about moving away from CrossFit.
She's going to be like, oh my God, my joints, the health of my joints have just improved by 1,000,000 times. Because, I mean, she's probably not doing insane movements now.
The HYROX ticket drama, being 9 months postpartum and how that's affecting my training goals, and general shifts in my training and where it's going now. But I need to start with why I left CrossFit to catch you up. I've been doing CrossFit for 9 years and I absolutely loved it. And honestly, to this day, I still really love a lot of parts of it. The gyms that I went to were amazing. The coaches were really good. The programming in lots of cases were really good. In some gyms, it wasn't as good, but certainly the last couple of gyms I've been to have been amazing with their programming, especially the latest one has longer, steadier state workouts as well as the shorter stuff, which is great. I absolutely love the community. I love the Olympic weightlifting and the heavy weightlifting and the fact that it's a sport more than just like exercise. You're not exercising to change your body, you're exercising for performance and to get better at something. You're learning new skills and it's just all round really good fun. But I started to question it, especially as the times have moved on and new research is coming out to do with longer, steadier state workouts, the World Health Organization guidelines on aerobic fitness and heart health and how that leads to longevity. People like Peter Attia and the book Outlive, which I've read and it's really good. The CrossFit methodology has not evolved with the new scientific research. CrossFit's methodology hinges around high intensity and short workouts. It's in Fitness in 100 Words. You can argue that as much as you want, but it's clearly there. And when you go to CrossFit classes, you are pushed to keep moving, to go fast, to train hard. And that sounds good if you don't know a huge amount about fitness and science. But I kind of discovered there's a huge missing piece.
Yeah, but there's like, they encourage you to move past the point of mechanical failure in a lot of the times, which can be dangerous. And you have to keep in mind too that you're not training. A lot of the times these people in these classes aren't athletes. So when you don't have a coach in there that knows how to teach things at like a developmentally appropriate way, you end up with people hurting themselves pretty frequently.
In CrossFit, and I have a little bit of a background in endurance sports. I've done a triathlon. I love road biking, I love swimming, I love other stuff that's sort of lower intensity, but since coming into CrossFit I hadn't done a huge amount of that because it was kind of frowned upon. CrossFit really lacks structured endurance training, and a lot of people will say, oh look, I'm in zone 3 because my Whoop said so. My Whoop said I was in zone 3 for most of this workout, therefore I must be. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's effective endurance training. You need to build your aerobic base on something like a cardio machine, something that you are working at a steady rate at, not lots of different movements where you're spiking your heart rate and bringing it back down. And there are ways to adapt CrossFit sort of workouts to fit more zone 3, which is something that I've personally done when I was training for HYROX. I love CrossFit style training, but I needed longer aerobic pieces in there to improve it. I had virtually no aerobic base coming from CrossFit. My body would default to zone 4 and zone 5 because that's where it was comfortable. But now I've got a great aerobic base. because I've actually built it, because I stopped training CrossFit all the time and started adding other stuff in. The Talking Elite Fitness episode echoed this recently. It was the guy that was talking about what advice they give CrossFit as a business, and he pointed out that they've really not updated to move with the science. And when somebody eventually buys CrossFit, that's what they need them to do. And high intensity within CrossFit wasn't working long time for me anyway. My body was starting to feel really sore. I was lacking in energy. It wasn't something that I wanted for my life outside of CrossFit. I was just tired and energyless all of the time, and I want to give my energy to my daughter. I actually enjoy my life outside of the gym. My life isn't just being in the gym, so I needed to have energy to be able to play with my child. High intensity workouts all of the time were having a massive negative impact on how I felt. And high intensity is great for you, but if you read Peter Attia's book or listen to Stacey Sims, we actually only need 1 to 2 sessions of super high intensity a week, not 5 to 6 as CrossFit thinks. And personally, I'm somebody that has a lot of trauma, a lot of mental health issues, and stress is something that I'm working on because that also impacts health. And I don't need to add more stress into the mix. High intensity increases your cortisol, and for somebody that already has quite high cortisol, that is a big issue. For most people, that would absolutely be fine, but for me personally, that's not good. And on top of all of that, and you're probably already typing the comments, the people that fit within this, it feels like a religion. And the moment you try and question the methodology, people get really, really angry. They can't see the science, they just love this thing so much, and it is tied so deeply to their identity that they get personally offended when you bring up some science that maybe goes against it.
I've never I think I've done one CrossFit class ever, and I was like, yeah, this ain't it for me. I don't love group fitness stuff unless I'm close friends with all the people. But I can totally see how the CrossFitters can get butt hurt. Because I constantly talked crap about CrossFit, about how I was like, oh yeah, physical therapists love CrossFitters, they keep them in business. You know what I mean?
And then also you've got the really toxic community backlash from online and all of the other stuff that you experience. A load of the coaches outright fat shaming me, just horrible, horrible, horrible stuff. But I love the in-person community. I love the gyms that I'd been to. I love it as a class. I love it as a class in the same way that I love spinning.
I've never seen somebody do what looked like, it was either a pistol squat or a single leg squat with her being supported by a band. I've never seen that. Usually people just will sit you down on a bench or something.
I just knew that it wasn't for me as an all-round training methodology. The only thing that I do within fitness, I felt like my time would be better spent doing other things that I enjoy and other things that contribute better to health and longevity, and also my life. When I was about 3 months postpartum, I decided I was going to do a HYROX, and I worked toward and completed my second HYROX. I did another one back in 2020.
Her knee was straight up bleeding while she was doing lunges. This girl's built different.
But it was a major goal for me to just complete it. And I did that, I think I was 7 months postpartum. It was amazing. I loved it the same amount as I did the first one. I was really happy that I was able to run the whole thing because running is a huge weakness of mine. It was the last day of my cycle and I felt absolutely horrendous, and that really impacts me. My luteal phase makes me super duper breathless and I find everything really difficult. So it was the worst day I possibly could have done it. I also had a cold. It was bad, but my goal was to complete it and I completed it, which brings me around to the HYROX ticket drama, which in the UK is crazy. So I go to sign up for London, which I think is happening in May, and I really wanted to get a ticket for this one, but this time I wanted to do doubles or the relay. I actually don't think there is a relay at all. From looking at the tickets that were available, it didn't seem like there was one. And the UK, because it's so popular over here, we've moved to a ballot system, or we did do. And I got a ticket via the ballot system for Manchester, which is you basically put in for a ticket and then it's a lottery draw whether or not you get it, like you would do for a marathon. But then suddenly for London, they decide to go back to at 12 o'clock you need to be on your laptop like fucking Glastonbury and try and get a ticket. So I got on my laptop literally the minute the tickets were released, and bam, I was 12,000th in the queue. 12,000th. And then a few minutes later, it pushed me back to 14,000th. Insane. And I know it's not just me, a lot of people.
You should try buying Pokemon cards at retail. Jeez.
had huge problems with this, and the issue with this all round is that you've just made 14,000 plus people angry that they were stuck in a really long queue for hours and then eventually couldn't get tickets at all. Whereas if you had the ballot system, like, you were like, oh yeah, I may or may not get it, great, and then you get one or you don't get one, people are less mad. But people were really mad about this. And of course I wanted a ticket for London because it is closer to me than Manchester, which is miles, but I didn't get one. Now they've also released Cardiff, which is fantastic because that is more southern. I mean, it's still not that close, but it's closer to me than Manchester and it's closer to me than London. So I'm really hoping that I'll get tickets for Cardiff. However, they are not doing a ballot system again. We're going to have to log on, bang on the time on the dot. So I'm going to try and get on like hours early because I heard a couple of people got tickets way earlier than they said they would release them. And that was part of the problem. They released the tickets like an hour earlier than it was supposed to be released, which is obviously bad. And then we've also got the issue where HYROX affiliates get early access and they're buying up loads and loads of tickets for their mates and other people.
Oh my god, yeah. This is literally the Pokemon trading card community.
And then there's none left for the general population, but that sucks if you're somebody that doesn't go to a HYROX affiliate because maybe there aren't a lot around you. So I'll update you on that. Let's see what happens, but I may or may not get it. I've done a HYROX recently. If I don't get it, I'll probably enter something like, I heard there's the Dirty Dozen, which is heavier weights but still like a HYROX but like less running, which sounds totally my jam. And there are other hybrid style competitions popping up around everywhere, and having moved away from CrossFit, I'm not interested in being able to do kipping pull-ups and handstand walks and whatever anymore. I love competing, as you can tell, but I would be more happy doing something like a hybrid competition, I think. So we'll see. So I try to keep a
I just can't think of a good reason why an adult would be doing walking handstands like over the age of like 30. Like, for what? Like, what are we doing?
and the tickets were supposed.
I say that as a person who like trained to do handstands and walking handstands, and I would dislocate my shoulder so many times a year. It's just like, I'm doing this because it's a trick exercise and I want to show off. That's literally the only reason.
To be on sale at 12 o'clock, but I managed to get in the queue at 10 to 11. I was 4,000th in the queue, and by the time I got through, which is just probably about 20 past, all of the tickets were sold out. Every single one of them, apart from the adaptive. That's about it. The system is rubbish. They basically lied about the time it would be open again, because they did that last time. They've probably sold a lot of the tickets to affiliated gyms, and people just buy.
You know, also what happens is there's like secret links. This is just Pokemon card drama though. There's like secret links that you can get that are like early access links to the product. So you can like super skip ahead, and then people will pay. And so I'm sure this translates some way for the HYROX stuff, but Pokemon scalpers will like pay employees at Target to tell them when restocks are, so they'll be like the first in line to get it. It's crazy.
Multiple sets of tickets on the Instagram. Sorry, my daughter's playing behind me. On the Instagram page, you can see loads of people complaining about the system, the fact that they released it an hour early, all of that. And then HYROX specifically are replying to the people that have got tickets and ignoring all of the criticism, which is fantastic. Loads of people are like, maybe HYROX isn't my sport after all. I guess I'm gonna have to find something else to do. Like, they're fumbling this, and they have done over and over again now. It's not cool. Go back to the ballot system. That worked, and people were a lot less mad, and also didn't have to spend their entire day in a queue on their laptop and multiple devices. So obviously, not having a HYROX race to build up to, I can't plan around anything like that specifically. And I also don't want to. I've completed my goal, and I'm now in a phase where I'm training a little bit differently. I'm taking a more varied and sustainable approach. I'm actually doing a little bit of training around my cycle. So towards the end of my cycle, I'll do a little bit more lower intensity stuff. And that's literally just because I find everything so much more difficult. But also because I've found even just doing a couple of weeks of heavy strength training, I not only maintain my current strength, but I very nearly got a lifetime PB clean, which is an Olympic lift, despite not having doing any consistent training towards Olympic lifting since 2023. So clearly my genetics are helping me here, and I seem to maintain strength really easily without barely doing any strength training. So I've added strength training back.
You're probably just like insanely mentally tough, just like Sal is. That I reacted to him in a couple other videos, but both him and her have a they can push themselves past mechanical failure very easily. It just seems like they're those types of people.
But I'm not super focused on it, and I'm just kind of spreading it in areas of my cycle where I feel like I've got more energy, so that in other parts I can do fun stuff. So I love swimming. I've done a bit more of that. I love running. I'm making sure I run 5k every week. I PB'd my 5k time recently, which I'm really proud of, and I'm going to keep trying to push my 5k time as much as I can. I've increased my steps because one of my issues when my baby was born is that she wanted a nap on me basically most of the time. So I was stuck to a seat and unable to move because she wouldn't sleep in the cot, especially in the daytime. And that did not work towards my health goals, but it did work towards my mum goals. And now she's a healthy, happy 9-month-old and really super independent. And I'm really glad that I did that. But I want to increase my steps again so that I feel fitter and healthier and generally all round working more towards longevity. I'm still doing like some HYROX style workouts, but not as much as I was doing because it's not a structured training plan towards HYROX. But the way I am structuring it is a little bit interesting if you're into this. It's really, really nerdy, and I'm okay with that. So I like to read. I read a lot of books. If you recognise these books, you're my kind of person. I love Fourth Wing, A Court of Thorns and Roses, that kind of stuff. And I desperately want to be like the female main character in a fantasy novel. So that is how I'm training. Anything that fits within that, like if I need to run across the realm away from someone that's trying to get me, then that's what I want to be able to do. So the 5Ks are in there, and I'm also adding like hiking and trekking with weight, my baby, and that kind of stuff is going in the program. Swimming, I would obviously need to be able to cross bodies of water, so that's going in there. Strength training, but like functional movement stuff, jumping, that's going in there. I'm probably going to add in a little bit more climb.
I am a little triggered by the word functional movement because it's like a buzzword that people bring into fitness like in like a 5 to 7 year cycle, it seems like. And it's just kind of like you can argue most things are functional. You know what I mean? So it's like it's kind of like a nothing word, but at the same time, like, you know, is a squat on a Bosu ball more functional than a regular squat? Like,
and maybe some stability stuff, and like maybe like calisthenics-y, so I can feel like a bit stealthy. Like the book, again, if you're not into books, I'm really sorry, but Throne of Glass, she's an assassin, and training like that really appeals to me. So I'm just like putting in little things that I enjoy. I framed spinning like dragon riding. If you've got a decent imagination, when you go on like the hard resistance, you can imagine climbing, like going up in the sky, and then when you're going fast resistance, you can imagine.
I had this one spin instructor like paint an entire portrait for you, not literally, like during the workout, like so intensely describing theoretic scenarios, like we're biking up the hill in West Virginia on a desert mountain, like, you know, just like getting so into it. And I'm like, oh my God, this girl.
Going down or like fighting or going fast. I honestly just let my brain wander, and it's so enjoyable. And then during all of my training sessions, I've got a long list of like fantasy inspired Spotify playlists.
I thought a really cool idea, but Peloton probably already does this in some way, but I was like, we should have like competitive cycling like video games where like you're in the class and effort, like speed is based off of like effort. I want to try to quantify it in a way that's like fair, that like even the person that's like not in shape can keep up with the person that's in shape. So like initially I would think it's like heart rate based, but I'm sure there's problems surrounding that. But you get where I'm going, you know, some sort of, you know, Mario Kart inspired, where you can like, you know, get shells, and when you hit somebody with the shell, it like increases their resistance for a little while. I thought that'd be kind of fun.
And then I also listen to audiobooks at the moment. I'm going.
And then you could have microtransactions with skins.
through Throne of Glass. I just caught up with like Fourth Wing and Iron Flame so that I could then continue reading Onyx Storm, because I read everything on my Kindle, but then I listen back to stuff while I'm training. So in order to catch up so I could read Onyx Storm, the next book in like the Fourth Wing series, I got to catch up with it on audiobook while I was training, and it was so good. I 100% recommend. So that's how I'm training, and I've also launched a fitness training program that's based around that idea, but it actually exists within a world, and there's a storyline, and there's little side quests you can do, and there's hopefully going to be some enamel pins that you can get from completing different challenges. It's a whole thing. I'm a creative, I've got an art background, I used to be a jeweler. There's loads of my creative energies being put into that at the moment, and it's just a bit of me. I enjoy it so much. So that's basically how I'm training, and I know it sounds a bit wild, but it's working for me, and it's the most motivated I've been for training, honestly, since I started CrossFit. More motivated than that, and I've created these goals within that, and it's just so exciting for me. With my postpartum recovery, what was really important for me is that my training gave me energy and made me feel healthier rather than draining me, and that's a big difference between how I'm training now and when I was doing just CrossFit. It felt like it drained me a lot, sapped my energy, and made me super sore. But now I can like hop in and do a CrossFit class occasionally if I want to. I can hop in and do a spin class. I can just work it around my energy levels and my schedule so that I can see my baby more. It fits in really well, and I'm embracing the flexibility of it all. I'm really lucky to have had no specific issues with postpartum recovery. I even started running at 12 weeks postpartum, and that went totally fine. I've had no pelvic floor issues. I'm back to back squatting the same amount that I have ever done, and like I said, nearly got a lifetime PB in my clean, which is completely ludicrous. I don't understand how my body hangs on to strength the way it does. I did train during pregnancy, so maybe that's part of it, and what I've learned from that is actually I can be much more flexible with my strength training, and I don't have to do it so much all the time, and I don't really care about increasing the weights that I lift at all either. I just want to be strong for general health, and like I don't need a 160 kilo deadlift. That's not necessary for my life, but it's cool to have. I've let go of all these rigid fitness goals, and now I feel like I'm actually training for my life. For being like an old lady that's independent, that's definitely one of them. For being able to carry my child around because she's really heavy now. And if you feel like you're a bit stuck in a rut with your training right now, then this is your sign to like reevaluate your goals and ask yourself what you actually want out of your life and your health, and maybe start training for that instead of arbitrary goals designed by somebody else. If you want to watch my full video on my HYROX as a slow runner, then watch this video next. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.
Cute. That was so cute. I like that video. Yeah, I continue to like the things that she says. I think she gives really good advice. I'm excited to see what else she has uploaded to her channel. So, if you can't tell by this video, it's for entertainment purposes only. Nothing here is meant to be taken seriously whatsoever. I'm just sharing my own opinions, not facts, off of publicly accessible information, first made public by public figures. Please do not go to these people's channels and leave mean-spirited, negative, disparaging comments. Entertainment purposes only. I'm trying to do the like heart thing.
Oh my god.